units and their elements returned to Uganda. And it was in this context that on the 14th of June 2002, Uganda ratified the Rome Statute. In January 2004, Uganda, that is to say, a member of the ICC at this point, referred the situation to the ICC. When the investigation began in July 2004, the war and the crimes attributed to the LRA were ongoing, and the office was operating in difficult terrain. At the time, many sites were inaccessible. But despite all these challenges, the office was able to gather enough evidence to request the issuance of an arrest warrant, which was initially under seal, against Joseph Kony, issued on the 8th of July 2005. Arrest warrants were issued against other senior LRA leaders, such as Vincent Oti, who died in 2007. There is also Raska Lukwia, who died in 2006, as well as Okot Odhiambo, who died in October 2013, and Dominic Ongwen, who was tried by this court. These are the first arrest warrants to be issued by the ICC that were subsequently made public on the 13th of October.
At all material times, Mr. Kony carried out all physical elements of the specific crimes charged and possessed all attendant mental elements.
Thank you very much, Court Officer. All right. I turn now to the parties on the issue of Rule 122(3). The prosecution and defense both had the opportunity to submit written observations pursuant to this rule on matters that could not have been brought to the attention of the Chamber at an earlier stage of the proceedings. The Chamber gave a date for the receipt of such observations, and it was the 22nd of August 2025. The prosecution and defense did not provide any such observations, which of course was their right. Can the parties confirm that they do not wish to bring any such matters and that we can proceed with the opening statements? Defense?
Your Honor, we can so confirm.
Very well, thank you. Prosecution?
Aucune observation du côté du procureur.
We have no observation to make from the side of the prosecution.
In that case, then, we proceed to the prosecution's opening statement. Prosecution, keep in mind, you have 30 minutes.
Mesdames,
Your Honours, you have agreed to hold this confirmation of charges hearing against Joseph Kony. The dock is empty of any potential accused. Joseph Kony is not present here today. 20 years ago, other judges of this court issued a warrant of arrest against him. He has been at large for the last 20 years. And for the last 20 years, he has managed to evade justice. This international justice that the government of Uganda and the many victims, particularly in northern Uganda, have sought, as they were unable to render justice in their own country. We have done everything we can. We have done everything we can to live up to the important responsibility that, on the one hand, the founding members of the Rome Statute, and on the other, the beneficiaries of the justice that this statute postulates, have placed in us. Unfortunately, the tentacles of international criminal justice, even though lengthy, with the cooperation of states, whether they be signatory to the Rome Statute or not, have not been sufficient to ensure the swift arrest of fugitives. Many victims who had the strength to survive the horrors of a devastating civil war have, unfortunately, not survived this lengthy wait. Others have lost patience. But there are still those who, against all odds, have waited for this very moment. And it is for all these victims that it is important for this hearing to be held today, tomorrow, and the day after that. This hearing, Madam President, as you reminded us at an earlier stage, is not a trial in absentia. The right of a person to be present at their trial and to challenge the charges against them is a sacred right, as we know. However, without in any way altering this right, our statute, as you also reminded us, in certain circumstances allows that the suspect does not frustrate by their own will the confirmation of charges against them, in particular by choosing not to respond to the summons of the court. So, it is by virtue of this mechanism, Article 61, Paragraph 2, which, as you reminded us, has never been used before. You will be using this, ladies and gentlemen of the bench, to examine the 39 charges brought against the ICC's longest-standing.
From the 1st of June 2006, an Interpol Red Notice was issued, and it remains active today. Other initiatives have followed many other initiatives. Requests for the arrest of Joseph Kony were sent to several states. In October 2008, the European Parliament requested for a plan to be put in place for the arrest of Joseph Kony. In 2012, African Union troops were tasked with searching for Joseph Kony. It was Europe and it was also Africa. And even American troops
joined the search. For years, the Ugandan government army made concerted efforts to apprehend Joseph Kony. Civil society organizations launched public campaigns to facilitate his arrest. These same efforts are ongoing today and are not expected to cease until Joseph Kony has been arrested. I will now review some important elements of the proceedings in this case. In January 2015, Dominic Ongwen, commander of the Sinya Brigade, surrendered.
The judges separated his case from that of Joseph Kony, and his trial was held between 2016 and 2019. Dominic Ongwen was found guilty on the 4th of February 2021, and he was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment on the 6th of May 2021. His sentence was upheld on appeal on the 15th of December 2022. After 20 years of searching in vain, we now ask you, Your Honours, to confirm the charges in the absence of the suspect. Through the 39 counts of crimes against humanity and war crimes brought against Joseph Kony, we have sought to cover the systemic criminal activity of the LRA during the reference period. But that doesn't mean that we have been able to exhaustively list all of the crimes. That just isn't possible, but at least those that were the most emblematic, those are the ones that we have submitted. Now, Your Honours, the case against Joseph Kony concerns systemic violence inflicted on Ugandan citizens in northern Uganda. This violence was perpetrated by the LRA under the command of Joseph Kony. The citizens of northern Uganda had no choice but to abandon their homes and possessions. They lived in constant fear of attacks and abductions. The impact of LRA attacks on children in northern Uganda has been particularly severe. Fearing attacks and abductions, thousands of children every night had to flee their villages to seek refuge in towns such as Gulu. They travelled at night without their parents just to stay safe.